I know everything about you and these motherfuckers at this point. That one is an insecure buffoon whose lonely ass watches you idiots sleep.
Writing is a difficult thing to master. I understand that myself, as I have to write these scripts, and I have been trying to write a novel. Sometimes when you write, you will be so tempted to just tell the reader the thing you want them to know in the easiest way possible. To not do that second draft because you can't be bothered to put in the effort. This laziness is something no writer should ever fall into, no matter the temptation. This scene is made far worse by the fact the show is not portraying it as Keith David's character passing judgment on the others. Instead, the show is framing this as if what he is saying is the truth as written.
Ugh, why is this so hard? What am I doing wrong?
To answer Charlie's second question first, everything. To answer her first one, she has no moral foundation for her redemption, and so any advice she gives will be fraudulent.
Princess of Hell.
So?
So, you don't really use the power that comes with that, which I love about you. But maybe you can, I don't know, command a little more authority.
But that's so mean!
I know this might be a strange question to ask now, but how has Charlie been raised? She acts like a pampered princess who was sheltered until this morning. Yet, from what's implied, she met Vaggie, fell in love, commissioned the construction of the Hazbin Hotel. Overpopulation being a problem, I doubt there was any abandoned buildings. Then hired the staff, and then opened it. Even if these events happened back to back to back, or at the same time, that would still leave Charlie exposed to just how awful the sinners of hell are. That understanding would be doubly so for the time she spent with Vaggie, a character who has not hidden her distaste for the sinners. I just realised, even the backstory for this show has bad pacing. This show's only consistency is its inconsistency.
Such a...
No thank you.
I dislike Valentino. Very good introduction for a villain. 10 out of 10 IGN.
Ooh, I'm sorry. Were we too loud? I was just telling him about the Hazbin Hotel.
Not at all!
I know this is a personal thing, but I really cannot stand cringe. Moreover, I don't understand why Hollywood seems to need it so much, that they oversaturated the genre of comedy with it, thereby ruining Hollywood comedies for the foreseeable future. Of course the character with the gangster accent is called Anthony. Let me guess, he sings soprano.
Taking this from the top!
What makes you think you can treat him like that?
Charlie! Just stop!
I'm 4 episodes into the show, and I still haven't been able to grasp what the power levels in Hazbin Hotel are meant to be. While I don't like power scaling as a cross-creative work concept, you do need to have a structure of power, whether that be for a single body of work or canon universe. This is all to say that Charlie is supposed to be a high-ranking Nephilim, or whatever this universe's equivalent is. At the very least, she's the daughter of Lucifer, the arch-enemy of man. That is the third to last being in existence you would want to piss off, right behind her father, and of course, God. And yet, I somehow know that despite visibly enraging her, Valentino's actions will not have consequences of either the delayed or immediate variety. In fact, this could have been an interesting moment, a sinner so evil, so vile, that Charlie realizes that no, not everyone can be redeemed, and that some people need to be made examples of to show what happens to the irredeemable. Well, any more than they are, given how they're already in hell.
Sick of the poison, wish I had something to live for tomorrow.
Poison as a song about angel dust and his torment has forgotten something very important. Angel Dust is a sinner in hell. He's meant to be tortured, for he is suffering the consequences of his actions. Anthony had all of his life to make things right, to mend the wounds he's made, and to bring joy to the world. That is a person who I could have felt sympathy for. But Angel Dust? Angel Dust is the architect of his own downfall.
Where should I look? In your bedroom, maybe? Under the covers? Maybe we can go look together.
Don't even start.
Oh,
I just realised that hell is filled with people from throughout all of human history, presumably from today, or the 1920s, to the times before written or oral history. When you put all those people into one place, you're bound to have conflict. At the very least, differing opinions. So why does hell seem to completely lack homophobia? In fact, hell seems to be disproportionately filled with homosexuals. My theory about Visipop secretly being based seems to be building a sizable foundation.
Gee, sounds like someone should go after him. Someone named Husk.
Oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Why don't you go if you're so...
I know this might be a bit mean to say, but why does anyone in the hotel care about Angel Dust beyond Charlie? He has even said to their faces that he is only there for free room and board, along with the chance to escape from Valentino. What's worse is that he hasn't once tried to improve himself, something the only other guest has actually tried to do.
Will drug you all the time?
you think I asked for it? I don't ask for any of this shit. I didn't ask to be this way. I didn't...
Wait, does Angel Dust believe that he is only in hell because he's gay? Wow, that really does speak to the kind of monster that he is. Angel Dust was most definitely a gangster in life, meaning he has committed murder, theft, extortion, and probably even more unspeakable deeds. Deeds far more heinous than simply being gay. This show better slap the cold hand of reality across his face, because he needs to realize just how much he deserves to be in hell, for all of the suffering he has caused, and all of the sins he has committed.
Oh, so, now you're gonna act like you give a shit about me? You think after how you treated me, I'm gonna open up to you? Please.
How Keith Davis' character treated Angel Dust? Please. From all that we've seen, it is Angel Dust who needs to stop harassing Keith Davis' character. Angel Dust is seemingly incapable of not feeling sorry for himself, as if he must always be the victim. The irony is, all Keith Davis' character wants is Angel Dust to realize that no means no.
And maybe, if I can ruin myself enough in the process, if I end up broken, I won't be his favorite toy anymore.
Even if Angel Dust breaks himself, that wouldn't matter to the likes of Valentino, not only because Valentino doesn't really care for Angel Dust as a person, only as a pretty body to use, but also because a contract is a contract. He owns Angel Dust's soul. That in itself is seemingly what makes one sinner more powerful than another in this canon. So why would Valentino discard something so useful just because it's broken? There will be no escape for Angel Dust, only more and more torment. The only escape possible was redemption in life, and perhaps in death. However, I don't see this show ever redeeming this character, chiefly because it doesn't understand redemption, but more importantly, for the creators, it would ruin the fantasy of Angel Dust as a character. It is why I know that the ruining of Angel Dust will never happen, because that would ruin the fantasy of a bad boy adult film star.
So things look bad and your back's against the wall.
Ow, the auto-tune and the whiplash in tone. I fundamentally disagree with Loser Baby. First of all, these two characters don't have much in common at all, with one being an indentured bartender, the other a drug-riddled sex pest. What's worse is that we barely know a trifling detail about who Keith David's character is. Secondly, if Keith David's character is meant to be a bartender, wouldn't it make more sense for him to use examples other than himself? That would probably prove his point to Angel Dust more than if he only used himself. Imagine if Keith David's character brought up stories of other sinners and their fates, showing that, actually, Angel Dust has it pretty swell compared to a lot of others down there.
On that demon's leash, I'm trapped and it gets worse with every hour.
Oh look, if it isn't the consequences of my actions finally catching up to me.
Maybe it's time
No,
to ask
don't say it!
your dad.
No. Of all beings in existence, Lucifer is quite literally the worst possible thing you could turn to in order to get help with redemption. His entire existence, his purpose, as depicted throughout all Christian doctrine and beyond, is that of a being who refuses redemption to the highest degree and to the lowest, basest extents. He doesn't care about you. The only thing he wants from you is for you to be your worst self. Why? Spite, fueled by vainglory. Lucifer knows that if he sought forgiveness, God would forgive him. But he can't accept that, because he's the embodiment of vainglory, betrayal, and evil. Valentino would unironically be a better being to ask for advice about redemption than Lucifer. I just realized something while I was redrafting. This scene is even worse than I initially thought. As Vaggie is an angel, she should know better than anyone else in this room that Satan is not someone you go to for advice about redemption. This one scene breaks Vaggie's character so much that I literally cannot believe that she was once an angel. I'm now almost certain that she was never planned to be an angel, because this is something so obvious that it could have only slipped through if her twist was added later into production, and they forgot to go back and remove this line.
He could get me a meeting with heaven!
Didn't we already try that?
Huh?
I mean, Charlie, your father was cast out of heaven. They don't really want him there. The only way he could ever go back is either to attempt and fail at another rebellion, or to suck up his ego and go ask God for forgiveness. The fact she thinks her father has any sway in heaven is beyond stupid.
Something.
Daddy issues.
Well,
Writing is hard.
Oh God, who am I kidding? This sucks. Daughter calling? Oh,
Well, if they wanted to defame Lucifer, they did it perfectly. I'm almost convinced this entire show is a psyop, and that Visipop is truly based and Christ-pilled. Oh, and the fact his ringtone is a circus song? Mwah, brilliant. Lucifer truly isn't just a clown, but the entire circus.
no, Charlie, no. That's, no.
Look, Dad!
That entire back and forth was just wrong. I know I said that I liked the mockery of Lucifer, but only to a point. We must remember that he is still the arch enemy of man. If you only mock him and make him out to be weak and pathetic, you will inevitably end up underestimating him by not taking him seriously. There's also the fact that portraying humanity's arch enemy as this pathetic makes humanity look bad, because, to use an Americanism, If Lucifer was this much of a dweeb, why haven't we just shoved this dumbass into a locker?
My daughter wants to see me. Take that, depression.
Writing is hard.
Okay, people, Lucifer is on his way, so we are going to get this place presentable and we are going to make an amazing impression. Vamonos!
They must have chosen Vaggy's voice actress for her vocal range. Hard to believe, I know, but not her ability to voice act. I've never heard a more flat and less threatening drill sergeant in my life. You could have put a beagle in her place, and it would have commanded more authority. Lamau, Lucifer is a bloody manlet. He's even shorter than Vaggy.
Welcome to the Hazbin Hotel.
You know, it would have been better to call it something like the Happy Hotel. That feels more in line with what Charlie would have wanted to call it. Hazbin feels derogatory.
Pleasure to be meeting you, sir. Quite a pleasure. It's nice to finally put a face to the name. You are much shorter in real life.
Who is this? Who is this man?
Lucifer is the very thing that damned all of creation to sin. The fact Alistair is able to sass Satan, let alone even think about doing that, is insane. Alistair may not like Lucifer, but making it so obvious to his face should be an immediate death sentence. A sinner should not have the power to stand up to the likes of Lucifer.
Nope. I guess that's why Charlie called it the Hazbin Hotel. Ha ha ha.
Ha ha ha! It was actually my idea.
Ha ha ha! Well, it's not very clever.
Ha ha! Fuck you.
Okay.
My suspension of disbelief was already torn to shreds over the past 4 episodes, but those shreds were scorched in the sun when Alistair said,
Fuck you.
to the devil himself, and he didn't immediately combust into ashes, much unlike my suspension of disbelief. Honestly, how fitting is it that the writers couldn't actually think of a proper response, and so they just had him swear at his opposition. You know, the universal indicator that you've lost the argument, because you've allowed your opposition to get under your skin.
This is Vaggy. She's my girlfriend.
Oh my golly! You like girls! So do I! We have so much in common!
It is very obvious that this show is heavily inspired by Paradise Lost. So with that in mind, it is important that we remember that Lucifer is the violator. So him being fine with homosexuality is probably exactly in character. But perhaps also says more about the creators than they care to admit. Once more, the baseness of Visipop has an even greater foundation. Speaking of Lucifer being the violator, if you've read Paradise Lost, you know what that means in regards to his daughter.
All right then. Looks like you could use some help.
Once again, this show has a prime opportunity to have some build-up to the song, but instead it went from 0 to 100 without warning.
Funny, you could almost call me Dad.
Alistair is dead, deceased, obliterated, annihilated, other synonyms for buggered. Why is he still singing? Lucifer should not have a golden violin. He lost it to a hillbilly in the state of Georgia, USA.
Of course, sweetheart. Everyone is welcome here.
That song's conflict isn't going to get resolved, is it? Wait, did the writers realize that they created a scenario that was impossible to write themselves out of, so they literally created a Deus Ex Machina to get out? Absolute cowardice. Literary cowardice. How dare you not only make the first 10 minutes of an entire episode redundant, but shy away from character conflict in a show built around its character dynamics.
Why don't you let the others help you settle in, and I'll be back before you know it.
Wait, why is Mimsy a human? Every other character in this show, while at their base either a twink or a woman, at least looks monstrous in some way. Mimsy is just a short fat woman.
What do you think about using the hotel to help sinners?
Lucifer, from a fundamental level, should be completely against the hotel and what it's trying to do. Lucifer's whole thing is tempting people into damnation, a place with no hope of getting out. He shouldn't just be against it, he should be actively trying to shut it down.
Our people, Charlie, are awful! They got gifted free will and look what they did with it! Everything's terrible!
No, people always had free will from the start. What they were given was the knowledge of good and evil.
They didn't listen to me!
Said the choir boy, who committed one of the greatest acts of evil because he was filled with vainglory.
You didn't know that when...
One of the only songs so far that had proper musical build-up is built on a foundation of lies. Amazing. Did the writers just forget when writing this song that we have only just been introduced to Loosey Goosey in this episode? Did Mimsy's Deus Ex Machina hit them over the head a bit too hard?
What the fuck is with that wall?
What up, hoes?
Wow, they literally had the plot explode through the wall. She's like a knockoff Flashheart, except without the charisma or the good writing. Woof woof!
Wait, I am only here for Ooh, never mind, let's go!
Looks like Charlie realized that money really does solve all our problems, even in hell.
We're here for a meeting.
St. Peter.
That's Saint Peter. That's Saint Peter. The New Testament is canon to this show. Jesus is real and died for our sins and resurrected. This is not something you can walk back from. You cannot have an apostle of Christ without Christ being canon. So, where is the Father? Where is the Holy Spirit? Where is the Son? That last one is the biggest question, since Jesus kind of earned the title the Redeemer. Of all the aspects of God, Jesus would be the most interested in what Charlie is trying to do. So why isn't the Redeemer being sought out to help with the redeeming?
Greetings, daughter of the morning star. I am Sarah, the high seraphim of heaven.
The seraphim are the first sons of God. While they shouldn't be women, I can excuse that because this isn't reality, and this show is so vaguely based on Christian mythology that even a normie of normies could think of something more canon off the cuff. Back on track, apart from God himself, the seraphim are some of the oldest beings in existence. This begs the question, how can one be like Emily, who seems to lack the experience and wisdom of being ancient, rather acting like a young girl, something that should be utterly impossible? I would say they could explain it, but since they are refusing to acknowledge God in this show set in a Christian mythos, I doubt world building is any concern of theirs.
Sir, what was the Seraphim's one rule?
No one but the exorcist can know about the exterminations. I know, fine.
Okay, but why though? Why are only the exorcists, the one seraphim and Adam, allowed to know about the exterminations? That seems like a complete plot contrivance.
Your Highness, forgive me, but what are the Hellspawn doing here?
Technically, neither Charlie or Vaggie are Hellspawn, but only Vaggie has a right to heaven. Charlie is a Nephilim, a half-human, half-angel, and because of that, she's an abomination not made by God, so she has no soul. Meanwhile, Vaggie is a fallen angel, so all she needs to do is suck up her ego and ask for forgiveness. And yes, I figured it out a while ago, but now I'm certain that Vaggie is a fallen angel.
Do you really think I wouldn't recognize one of my top girls just because you're out of uniform?
Called it.
That's why I named you after the best thing ever, Vaggie.
Actually, it's pronounced Vaggie.
No. Anyway.
I didn't realize this show was brave enough to answer the question of whether or not bad children go to hell. Very based, Vizzy. Why did Vaggie's clothes change between cuts? Wait, did the creators become aware enough of what they were writing, become competent enough to realize that if Vaggie was still wearing the Exorcist uniform, that Charlie would have realized she was an angel, therefore the show couldn't happen? Why did they suddenly gain a baseline level of competence that wasn't seen before? Also, this twist for Vaggie being a fallen angel was definitely not planned from the start, was it?
Their love is vile and blasphemous.
Hot as fuck, though.
Correct. It's funny how they're trying to paint Adam as an unlikable douchebag with every opportunity, but it's having the opposite effect. They're inadvertently creating a big Jack Horner, a character who enjoys being the villain so much that they're just fun to watch. I think Adam's quickly becoming my favorite character in this show.
I wonder what your bitch would think if she found out you are actually one of us.
Why would Charlie care? The entire story of this show revolves around Charlie wanting to forgive and redeem people. Her finding out that Vaggie was hiding the fact she was an angel might be a shock to her, but if she denies Vaggie because of it, that would basically make her a massive hypocrite who never truly believed in the hotel.
Webster's dictionary defines redemption as...
Objection! Lame and unoriginal.
Sustained. No further...
Oh no, this is going to be painful.
We have a patron right now who is making incredible progress.
Who?
Angel Dust.
Oh yeah!
Huh? What do you mean, Angel Dust? He's not improved at all over the course of this season. In fact, he has gone out of his way multiple times to say he doesn't want to redeem himself, admitted to using and abusing Charlie's generosity, and worst of all, has actually gone out of his way to make himself worse. You know who has actually improved? Serpentius. Now why wouldn't the show pick him? Simple, because the creators of this show don't have the hots for Serpentius.
What do you think it takes to get into heaven?
Let's do a thought experiment. Let's say that no one at all, aside from Adam, was able to go to heaven until Jesus died on the cross and redeemed our sins. That means, at a minimum, heaven has had around 2,000 years to establish exactly what qualities someone would need to go to heaven. This would mean that billions of people have had the chance to go to either heaven or hell, and since heaven has easy and, relatively, safe access to hell, the angels of heaven should be able to figure out the opposite as well. What qualities make someone go to hell? So, even with the idea that humanity only got access to heaven after Jesus died for our sins, that would still have left plenty of time for any angel in heaven to actually sit down and figure out what the requirements are to get into heaven. Adam would definitely know as well, since humans are pattern recognizing machines, and he would have had the opportunity to see every new person arriving to heaven. Of course, the easy way would have been just to read the Bible, the literal guide on how to get into heaven and stay out of hell. And since they're in heaven, they have the easiest way. Ask God.
I ain't the one trying to get into heaven. Look, you want to fuck up all your progress? Be my guest.
What progress? At no point has Angel Dust ever even hinted that he wanted to be redeemed. Do you know who Keith David's character should have said this to? Sir Pentious, the only character who has actually tried to redeem himself. And I just realized I've already made this exact note 2 notes prior. So let me spice things up a bit. One of the core fundamentals of writing is that if the audience doesn't experience it, it never happened or doesn't exist. This fundamental is in place to avoid this exact scenario. The writers, in their heads, have already written Angel Dust to be redeemed, and they thought of him as redeemed for so long that when they got around to actually writing him as a redeemed person, they forgot to actually show him having gone through the journey of redemption. That's why Angel Dust's redemption happened entirely off-screen, even though it should have been the focus of the entire show.
Very well. The court will allow it.
Fuck yes! I mean, thank you.
Adam swears like a sailor, so why isn't Charlie allowed to as well? Also, why does Charlie swear? That contradicts her characterization of naivety and niceness. Is this show just infatuated with swearing or something?
Because I'm having sex with everyone here!
This is my laughing face. Wait, hold on. Wasn't the whole point of Angel Dust's story about how intimate abuse really sucks and isn't a laughing matter? Let me guess, to these writers, the rules only apply if they're attracted to the character and feel sorry for him because he's hot. But if he's not hot, that means it's a-okay to make intimate abuse jokes at his expense, even if it's to the detriment of one of your best messages in your show. Men can be abused as well, and it's just as awful as when it happens to women.
None of you know what gets someone into heaven?
This questioning stops now.
Like I said, they have billions of examples of how to get into heaven. It would be harder not to know with that many people on how to get into either heaven or hell. They had an entire lifetime of chances to better themselves. What more time do you need?
But there's a lot that you don't know.
Apparently, you don't know either. This show can't even get its own lies straight.
You saying, let me get this straight. You go down there and kill those poor souls. You didn't know.
I don't know of any religion that believes the soul can be destroyed, hence why it's often called the immortal soul. Even works of speculative fiction like Planescape don't actually give an answer to what happens when you kill a reincarnated being. What's even stranger is that this show is based on Christian doctrine, a doctrine that says a soul can be enslaved, captured, contained, manipulated, and crushed. But it cannot be destroyed, because to destroy a soul means to remove it from existence. Something of that magnitude can only be achieved by the likes of God.
You need your condescension. I'm not a child to protect.
This show still hasn't explained how Emily is considered younger, because that implies she was created, or worse, born recently.
If hell is forever, then heaven must be a lie.
Emily!
God forbid that your actions have consequences, and just because you don't want your actions to have consequences, doesn't mean those consequences suddenly stop happening.
When you make the wretched suffer just to kill them again.
The angels don't make the wretched suffer. The wretched made themselves suffer, because of how evil they were on Earth. Hell, even Charlie and Emily both refer to the damned as the wretched, inadvertently proving the angels' point of them not being worthy of heaven. In fact, we have seen time and time again that the sinners of hell, despite being in hell, are just reveling in their immoral actions. They now have all of eternity to repent and redeem themselves. But do they? No! Instead, they go around murdering each other, because they think it's fun. This shot looks like something straight out of Scooby-Doo. I love it.
How can I bring joy when I now know we are bringing misery to thousands of innocent people?
Innocent? Bloody hell, creators. How disingenuous can you get? Even your own representation of sinners in this show alone shows us that no, they are not innocent. It should be impossible for any character in this show to point to the damned and call them innocent, because each and every one of them knows why they are there, even the ones who deny it to themselves.